Greenwood Elementary School was built in 1930 at a cost of $75,000. The original building contained 8 classrooms and a small auditorium. Superintendent of schools at that time was Mr. Harvey H. Haley. Mr. Roy Morgan was Greenwood's first principal. He served until the time he was appointed county supervisor of schools, a position he held until his death. Miss Leila Nichols, a teacher in Greenwood School, became the second principal. She later transferred to Ramble School, where she remained as principal until her retirement several years ago. Miss Vera Lee Morrow, another teacher on the Greenwood facility, became the third principal. She remained in this position until 1956. After 25 years service to Greenwood, she moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico, where she connected with the schools there as an elementary principal and supervisor. During Miss Morrow's tenure at Greenwood, an addition was built to the school in 1950, consisting of 4 classrooms, combination gym, an auditorium, and a cafeteria. 4 classrooms were also made by division of the old auditorium. The cost to the district was $170,000. Dr. Iman Bruce, who is now president of Southern State College at Magnolia, was superintendent of schools at that time. Mr. Wilbur Moser, former principal at Eastside Elementary School, became the 4th principal of Greenwood. He remained in this position for 9 years until he moved to Little Rock to become a principal at the Arkansas State School for the Deaf. During Mr. Moser's tenure, a school secretary was added to the Greenwood staff. Hot Springs Elementary Schools had their first coordinator of instruction in the person of Miss Aline Canning. A summer enrichment program was begun to stimulate an increased interest in literature and art, as well as science. Workshops in art gave a new emphasis to its importance in the curriculum. Dr. Hugh Mills was our superintendent during this period, serving from 1960 until 1966. Dr. Willard Holland, at present serving in the Teacher Training Department of Arkansas State College at Conway, served as principal of Greenwood for 2 years, 1964 until 1966. He followed Miss Aline Canning as coordinator of instruction for a period of 1 year before leaving to work on his doctorate. Dr. Freddie Green, now working in the teacher training program at Arkansas Tech in Russellville, followed Dr. Holland at Greenwood. He served for 2 years as principal from 1966 until 1968. A program of special education was begun at Greenwood, and 2 mobile classrooms were moved in to take care of the increased enrollment. The superintendent at that time was Dr. Harvey Walthall, who served from 1966 until 1969. In 1967, J.R. Burroughs, a former guidance counselor at Southwest Junior High School, became Greenwood's 6th principal. So what is your happiest memory?
Well, there's several. But one in particular, I'll share this one with you. We, in Hot Springs, we had a lot of field trips. They'd go to Little Rock, different places, so on and so forth. And I'd request 2 or 3 buses for a grade to go. It'd take 2 buses at least for 2nd grade or 4th grade, whatever. And they'd give me 2 buses. I didn't drive them, I had a driver for them. Through the school system, you gotta be certified to drive a school bus. They'd go to Little Rock, they'd visit the state capitol, had lunch in Little Rock. And when they'd come back, if they got there early enough to school, I would call the teacher by phone and talk to her and tell her, you have the bus driver, if possible, to bring your class by Burger King or some ice cream place. And I would buy them all ice cream or Coke. And they were glad to get that. They were tired and ready to go home, rest probably. But that was one thing I enjoyed doing, was seeing that they got back to the school safe. And in the mornings when they'd get ready to leave on the bus for a field trip, they'd all wave at me, and I'd stand out there on the back porch, which probably still stands, or the concrete steps, and I'd wave at them, and they'd wave at me as they pulled out. I remember those memories quite frequently.
What is your saddest memory?
Well, I really don't remember too many sad memories. Of course, we had children sick occasionally, you know, that could be a problem.
Right.
We had some break-ins, not when the students were there, but at night. And the police would call me, and I'd meet them up there and open the doors, and they'd go through the building and check. And sometimes it'd be somebody prowling around, sometimes it wouldn't. But those are memories that stand out, you know, going into a vacant building at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
But I don't know of any real sad memories. I'm sure we had children that get hurt on the playground. I don't remember of any real serious accidents. But, you know, there's somebody that always fall and scratch their knee, or think they might have broken an arm playing on the bars. And I guess those kind of times were my saddest memories, if I had to have one.
Were there any famous students that attended Greenwood?
Any famous students? Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sure there are. Hadn't thought of it in that respect. But several of them on down the road went to college, either community college or Henderson State University at Arkadelphia, some other college. But I had a lot of pictures hanging on the wall for the kids, down low so they could see them. But we had drinking fountains. And one time they had to climb up a little ladder to get to the drinking fountain. They were cold.
Oh, wow.
And the teacher had to stand there and monitor and supervise the clothes. So eventually, with the help of the PTA, I got that changed out and had drinking fountains about that high.
Oh,
so they didn't have to go up on little stairs to get, because they could fall. And they, 1 or 2 did, but didn't hurt themselves. You're going to have accidents on the school ground when you have 300 students.
Right. When I went in there last, I remember seeing the little bitty drinking fountain.
Do you?
On the 2nd floor at the end of the hallway where the gym is. Yeah. And it was just next to the bathroom.
Okay, that was upstairs?
Yes.
Okay, that's close to the teacher's lounge too. Did you see the teacher's lounge? But I wanted the teachers to have the convenience of cool water when they left the lounge to go back to the classroom.
Right.
Plus students could use it. So with the help of Sanders Plumbing, Bill Sanders, he helped me get some fountains, and he hooked them up. He was a plumber.
Oh,
and he hooked them up. So when I moved to Gardner, I had those fountains disconnected and taken to Gardner School, because I knew that there was not much hope for Greenwood to stand very much longer.
Right.
But they were good fountains, so I took them to Gardner School. That was really a nice complex. They remodeled it.
Yeah.
And we had outside classrooms for the kids if the teacher wanted to take them out. Had a little garden they could plant in. No, I'm talking about smaller kids, you know, up about the fourth grade at the most. And the building had concrete floor with tile on it. All the restrooms functioned correctly. So you put all those things together and the school just runs right along. You've got good teachers, and they move to the classroom when the students get there. They keep control of them and teach them. And we have PE, physical education. We had a teacher that taught that, one for the boys and one for the girls. So they moved from one school to the other. They rotated. So that they all had physical education. We had to do that. Didn't have enough PE teachers. And of course, we had music going on in each school. I think you mentioned Mr. Puckett earlier. Well, he taught school at Greenwood as well as Gardner. Taught music, and he was a fine fellow.
The music room, was it down in the
It was
basement?
at one time, but the fire department asked that we move it upstairs if at all possible.
Oh.
So we took their advice and moved them. But it was not convenient going down those stairs and coming back. It was good exercise,
Right.
but it was not convenient and really safe. So that was something we changed later on.
The music class, did you guys have to move it in the gym?
Yeah, we moved it to the gym.
Oh.
Music teacher floated around, Mr. Puckett. I don't know if you know that name or not. He was good with music, and he served other schools. But he'd come to Greenwood 1 or 2 days a week, I'm not sure, and we had a schedule. The fourth grade would go at this time, the fifth grade at this time, go down the cycle like that.
Do you remember like any plays? Because I know they had their events and singing and plays in the gym as well. Do you remember any of those?
Oh yes. We always had a Christmas program for the public as well as for the students. And Mr. Puckett or one of the teachers would play a piano, and then be built around Christmas. We had the Christmas program. We had bleachers that the kids could get on, like 1 or 2 classes. And then another class might do something else. But we had a good time. That gym was very functional for us because cafeteria was right under it.
Right.
And in the morning when the buses came in, if they couldn't go outside, and in wintertime it's that way, they would be directed to take their students into the gym. We'd have a duty teacher, and the rest of the teachers could go get ready for class at 8 o'clock. So that's pretty well the way that worked.
And did the school have air conditioning by the time you were principal, or did?
No. The lounge had air conditioning and the office had air conditioning. But as far as the classrooms, no. They had a fan. They had a fan. But it was not wired properly to put air conditioning in the classroom. Although Greenwood was an old school, we took a lot of pride in that school. If something needing repaired, I would get on it with the maintenance or have it done. But you had to be cautious about those things, because if you did it for this class, you'd have to do it for that class.
Right.
So, we had a library that teachers could take their students to, and it was air conditioned. I guess that was the only air conditioned library in Hot Springs at the time.
Did it still have the stage in the library?
No, we never did have a stage in the library. The stage was down in the auditorium, but now at one time, across from the office, there's a classroom. And behind that classroom, there's a closet back there that's as big as that wall to this wall. And we would store books and other curriculum material in there. That area was used as a stage at one time, was my understanding, when it was first built. It was part of the auditorium, and the stage was connected to that room. And back in that storage room was the platform that the people worked off of, putting on a program.
What grades were downstairs? Was it just the earlier grades and the later grades were upstairs, or?
Well, downstairs we would have, now that's what we had when I left. Had kindergarten and first grade and some second grade.
Oh, wow.
Then upstairs we'd have third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, and sixth grade. And each teacher had a home room. They'd have a home room group of about 25 kids.
Oh,
And they were responsible for that 25. And when we got ready to come in from recess, they would line up outside next to those steps. And we'd motion for them to come in, and the teacher would direct them to the room.
Did you guys have all the kids at once for lunchtime down in the cafeteria, or did you have to split it?
No, we had to split it up. We had 2 lunch periods.
Oh.
Lunch A and B. K, kindergarten, first, second, would go to 1 lunch period. And then there'd be a bell for them to go out for recess, and there'd be another group come in and eat. So about 2 to 3 grades, depending on the number of students, would be in what they'd call a homeroom teacher. That teacher was responsible for them, getting them down to the classroom, putting them through the line, and get their plate, and go back and have a seat, and enjoy their meal.
What was the most extensive problem that the school had? Like, did it have something major that needed to be fixed?
One time, the teacher's lounge caught on fire, and fortunately the teachers just left it. I don't know if, I think the air conditioner may have been too high or something, but it started smoking, and the teachers upstairs realized that there was a problem. They went to it, and it had not burned, wall in the wall. It just burned the air conditioner maybe.
Memories of the final school days, like before Greenwood closed as an elementary school?
Well, we had a program. We had a special program. Parents could come to it in the auditorium and gym. And at that time, we thought Gardner was going to stay open, but Greenwood was going to be closed. So we had this program at Greenwood School, involving students.
Many changes have been made during his tenure. The school was painted throughout, and more modern furniture for classrooms was purchased. The school office was moved downstairs in one of the refurbished classrooms. A combined curriculum center and audio-visual room was also set up. The teacher's lounge was remodeled, and with the aid of the PTA, new furniture and carpeting were purchased. In 1972-73, a new stage curtain and backdrops were bought for the auditorium. Also, in the 72-73 school year, one of the classrooms was remodeled to make a centralized library. With the assistance of the Greenwood PTA, carpeting and air conditioning were added to make the library one of the most outstanding and up-to-date in the school system. The playground areas have been blacktopped and new equipment bought, making Greenwood's playground area far above standard. New walk areas have been constructed, and the lawn has been leveled and reseeded. In January 1967, Mr. Maurice Dunn, coming to us from Arkadelphia, became our elementary coordinator of instruction. Under his direction as our assistant superintendent, the curriculum in our schools has been greatly upgraded. An organized program of music in all the elementary schools was begun in 1970. Each class is scheduled for at least 30 minutes of music twice a week. In 1972, a physical fitness program was started. Classes receive 30 minutes of directed calisthenics and organized play 2 days each week. The organizing of a centralized library in 1973 created the need for a school librarian. We now have one for 1 1/2 days each week. The kindergarten program was started in Hot Springs this year, 1973-74. All eligible students went to one centralized area in the old Central Junior High building. Approximately 20 future Greenwood students are attending this kindergarten. The fall of 1975 was when Greenwood School had its own kindergarten program. Miss Cindy Kingery was the first teacher with a group of 25 students. A scheduled day for parent-teacher conferences was added to the school calendar in the mid-1970s. This made closer cooperation between the parents and the teachers, which should greatly benefit each student. In the summer of 1980, Greenwood Elementary and Gardner Elementary were combined into one school zone area. Gardner Elementary became the school for kindergarten, 1st, 2nd grade, and Greenwood housed the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grades. The combining of the schools has strengthened the programs and has given us a better use of personnel. On the occasion of the erection of our school sign, November 1973, special tribute was given to all PTA mothers who have worked tirelessly through the years to help with the many projects to improve the physical aspects of our school. They are also to be commended for their diligence and cooperation with the facility in helping to carry on an adequate and successful educational program for all of our students. All 25 members of our school staff and 234 students look with great pride on this 52-year-old structure as not just another building in this community, but as our beloved Greenwood School. In 1993, the Hot Springs School District closed Greenwood Elementary due to reorganization. All Greenwood teachers and students were moved to Gardner Elementary for the 1992-93 school year. But Greenwood would not remain closed for very long. In 1994, the Hot Springs School District reopened Greenwood as the Summit School, an educational facility for at-risk students that were unable to function well within the more traditional educational settings. This was so successful that in spring 2009, Hot Springs School District built a new facility and officially closed Greenwood Elementary for good. From 2009 until its demolition in November 2020, Hot Springs School District used the first floor of Greenwood for storage. Thank you so much to all of the members of the Greenwood School Facebook group for your contribution of your class photos, stories, and memories. Your contributions are helping the memory of Greenwood School stay alive for generations to come. And also a special thank you to Mr. and Mrs. J.R. Burroughs, Miss Jo Allen, and Miss Laura Young. Hi, is this Miss Laura Young?
Yes.
Hi, this is Austin.
Oh, okay, yeah. I've been waiting for you to call.
Oh, I'm sorry I took a while. I just got off the phone with Miss Jo Allen.
Oh, you did? Oh, well, good.
Yeah.
My teachers.
It's just so wonderful how you went to Greenwood as a kid and then you taught there, and I just think that's just the neatest thing.
Oh, well, thank you. I grew up in the neighborhood, and so then I went all 6 years there as a child, and then I graduated from college in 1970, and I did my student teaching at Greenwood under Ray Humphreys in 1969.
Oh, wow.
So I did my student teaching there, and while I was there, my younger brother was in the 6th grade. So he was a student there while I was practice teaching.
Oh, wow.
So I also had that connection. and then I didn't teach there until 1992. No, it was 1987, and I taught until 1992 when they closed the school.
So Mr. Burroughs would have been principal when you taught there?
Right. When I taught there, Greenwood had changed from a elementary school to a 3rd through 6th grade school, or 5th grade. I think it was just 5th grade. I'm not exactly sure if it was. I think it just went to 5th grade. So it was 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade at Greenwood, and then Gardner had kindergarten, 1st, and 2nd grade. Now this was all in 1987, and they may have started that in 86. I think they might have started a couple of years before I got there.
Oh, wow.
And anyway, Gardner had too many students, so they decided to open 2nd grade at Greenwood, and so I was the teacher there at 2nd grade. I was the only 2nd grade teacher there because all the rest of them were at Gardner.
Aww.
So that was all in 1987. And let's see, what else? I started teaching there. I taught 5 years, and then I went to Gardner and taught 19. So I was there for. Also, and you may be aware of this, but there is a time capsule at Gardner School. They're in the front.
Right.
It was supposed to be dug up in 2020, but because of the virus and stuff, nobody could really kind of get together to do that.
Right.
But I did know that I have, from my class, stuff in that capsule. I think one of them might be an old T-shirt or something. There's just all kinds of different things. I can't really remember exactly what was in there. I'm sure it was probably a letter or something from one of my students. But there was all the teachers put something in that capsule that would teach it.
Right, right. Oh, so what was your happiest moments while you taught there?
When I taught at Greenwood?
Uh-huh.
Well, just I taught in my classroom was also the classroom that I had when I went to school there in the first grade. It was my first grade classroom.
Oh, wow.
Kind of always special to lots of memories came back. Also, we had no air conditioning. The 5 years I was there was no air conditioning. So we got to raise the great big windows and let the air.
Hello, Austin. How are you?
I am fantastic, and I just want you to know this is such a pleasure getting to speak with you.
How are you getting associated with Greenwood School?
I just fell in love with the building a couple years ago, and I really was interested in the history of it, and I just wanted to make a documentary for everyone that went to school there because I know they tore it down too much.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry they tore it down.
Yeah.
I know, that's terrible. We would have done all right forever had they not had crosstown busing. But when they had crosstown busing, it killed Greenwood School.
Yeah. When they bused them to, I think, Langston?
Yeah. Well, people didn't like to have their kids bused across town.
Right. So what was your happiest?
I was supposed to be. I minored in English, and all the time I was taking English, I thought, I hope I never have to teach this. I hope I never have to teach this. All this punctuation drive you crazy. But when I went to Greenwood School, we did not have federal aid, and without federal aid, we could do whatever we wanted to do for our benefit. So Miss Doris Hull, whose husband taught manual training up to high school, she taught music. And Miss Freeman, whose husband was the ex-Walter welterweight champion, boxing champion of the world, he was a fireman. And guess what? Oh, we had another new teacher, Mr. Henry. Mr. Henry is going to teach my PE. I was going to teach his English. Miss Hull was going to teach my music, and I was going to teach her English. So I ended up with 3 English classes.
Oh, wow.
With 38 and 39 kids in a class.
Wow.
But I thought, oh, I can do this 180 days. I can do it and enjoy it, or I can do it and be miserable. And I think I'm going to enjoy it. I changed my attitude, and I did. I enjoyed teaching English. Whatever I was teaching, that's my favorite subject. If it was English, okay. If it was math, it's okay. If it was social studies, okay. Whatever I was teaching, that was my favorite.
Right.
But I love Greenwood School.
Oh, me too. It took my breath away when I first saw the building, and I just knew I had to step through those front doors and see it from the inside for myself. And when I walked in, I just fell in love with it even more.
Well, I really enjoyed teaching there. One thing, we had very few mothers who worked, so it was easy to get good homeward mothers. But anyway, and we had the kids came. The mother was always there to take care of the kids. If one guy is sick, you just call his mother and come and get him. Anyway, our biggest offense was sometimes, not often, but occasionally one would run in the hall. All you say was, honey, don't run in the hall. That was it. Sometimes they want to chew gum. Sweetheart, just don't chew gum. Okay, that was it. There was no arguing, nothing. They were so well behaved. One time, my room was near the boys' bathroom, and this is how times have changed. 2 of my little boys came rushing in. Let me digress a bit. We had a new kid moved in from East Side, Well, about a few days later, two of my little boys came running into my room and said, Miss Allen, there's a dirty word in the bathroom. I said, what is it? Oh, we can't say it. I said, okay, hold the door, and I go in there. So they held the door, and it was S-H-I-T, and my kids couldn't say it. Can you believe that? And now they curse the teachers.
I never heard that story.
But one of my outstanding students was Chip Harris, the Dallas Cowboy.
Uh-huh.
I went to school with his mother at Henderson, and then they moved here. He moved to Greenwood in the 3rd grade. His daddy was with the agriculture department, and they had been in Central America. But they moved back up here, and they moved on St. Louis Street, there near Greenwood. And Cliff came to school in the 3rd grade. In the 4th grade, he was in my room. He was so polite. I could just see him sitting there now with his left foot over his right. He had little bitty freckles. And I could make the assignment. He never said, "Do we have to do all that?" I sure is. He never made any comments. He instantly got his paper and books and everything ready and started to work. I grew up very poor, down in southwest Arkansas, in Lafayette County. Anywhere else in the world, that world is pronounced Lafayette. But in Lafayette County, it's Lafayette, not Lafayette. I was 30 miles north of the Louisiana line and 30 miles east of Texarkana.
Oh, wow.
And but then when I finished high school, I went to Henderson. And then I taught. If I had still stayed in the regular program, I would have been ready for my dissertation. But I got certified for this and certified for that, and so I wasn't ready for the dissertation in anything.
Oh.
But I ended up an examiner. I gave intelligence test.
Oh, wow.
So when did Greenwood open?
I'm sorry?
What year did Greenwood open?
It was built in 1930.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Now, Ms. Polly Mara was a second principal, and she was there for 25 years. She left the year before I went there. When I went there, we had 5 new ones. Mr. Mosier was a wonderful principal. He was new. And he was married to a girl whose family was close friends with Governor Faubus. But anyway, I really enjoyed my time at Greenwood.
Okay, Greenwood, this is the last